I caught up with Paul Stirling a little bit earlier. We're going to hear from him, and I started by asking him how preparations are going.
It's been good, actually. We don't usually get as long as we've had out here before. We've had 3 brilliant games against the UAE and a game against Scotland as well. So match time wise, we're pretty good, Nick. And practice wise, we've got brilliant facilities out here, and the lads have taken the time to get accustomed to the heat in the first week or two. And now we're sort of getting into crunch time coming up.
There has been a lot of talk, even a lot of messages coming back about how hot it is, like hitting over 40 degrees. I can't imagine how difficult it is to do anything in that.
Yeah, it's been tough. We're not usually out here at the start of October. It's usually sort of mid to late October when it starts cooling off. It's been a good test. I think you're going to acclimatise to the heat in the first 10 days by getting used to it, but I don't think you can't get used to that sort of heat while you're out in the middle performing. I think that even showed when the local guys here against the UAE were still struggling after 8 or 10 overs. So it wasn't just us, and they live out here. So it's been tough, but we know by the time it gets to mid-October and by the time these games start coming, it actually does cool off pretty quickly. It'll get down to the sort of low 30s, and that's much more manageable.
Do you feel that you can acclimatise? Like, does it, like, I hear of people going to acclimatise places a little bit early. Does it actually work?
It does to get used to the heat. So we were stuck in the room for maybe 6 days. We had a bike on the balcony, and those 6 days you could really feel it hit you straight away and almost shock your body to try and help protect from it almost. And then once we got out and started training, we felt the positive effects of being there in the heat for 6 days. It was a little bit easier, but nothing sort of prepared us for 15 overs into the match or innings twice and playing 2 games in a row. I don't think there's much you can do to prepare for that.
I imagine, though, just like if you miss the World Cup or, there's a bit of a break from cricket for a while and from sport for a while, like we all witnessed over the last year and a half, that you just appreciate it anyway. It doesn't matter what's happening, what the conditions are like. You must be so happy to be in a situation where you can even do that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think anytime we go out to play and put the shirt on, we're also privileged to be able to do that. So there's not too much complaining from us. We like being back out there. I think when crowds start coming back, which they will be in the World Cup, I think that'll make a huge difference as well. You want to perform in front of people at the actual venue. I think that gets everyone G'd up. So something everyone's looking forward to coming up.
It is the World Cup. It is the big stage. There's going to be so many eyeballs on you, but just given the nature of the competition and the fact that the big games come right from the off, does that put a huge amount of pressure on you guys?
I think we're just trying to take pressure off ourselves, to be honest. I think expectation brings pressure, and I don't want to put too much expectation on anyone. So we're out here to enjoy it. We're out here to perform as best we can. We always give it our best going on the field, and as everyone knows, the Irish teams at major events tend to punch above their weight, so we'll be trying to add to that. But certainly won't be putting added pressure on ourselves to do it.
That's our job, to heap the pressure on you guys. So what does success look like, though?
That's a really good question. I think it's a young squad, so success could look different, and it could look in many different ways. From my point of view, I think if we qualified for the next round, it would be a massive tick. Certainly, we're not looking any further past than that. We know how strong all 3 sides are, and I think we can maybe learn from what Irish cricket was, say, 10 years or 15 years ago, where if sides took us for granted, that's when we really pounced. So to have that experience, and it's almost on the flip side against some teams. Maybe none here, but to know if you take it for granted and you're not playing at your best, you'll lose to anyone. And on the flip side, we've got to use the positive of, if we rock up on our day and focus on our own game, we can take anyone down. So that's the sort of confidence we'll be going in with.
It must be good to know that, to have that confidence, to be able to draw on past experiences, to have learned from what's been happening even in the last few weeks, and be able to go in confident and know what you need to do, and also know what you're capable of.
Yeah, it is. I think confidence is massive. It comes in many different ways or forms, and I think it's about peaking at the right time when it comes to World Cups. You don't want to go to World Cups where you're on the downward spiral. So I know we've had a couple of tough results against the UAE, so hopefully we've put that behind us. Great win from the lads yesterday against PNG, and hopefully we'll build up momentum going forward and peak on Monday and throughout the week next week is the plan.
You mentioned some of the young players that are playing with you now, and like clearly there's been a transition in the squad, and there is that burst of youth there as well. How does it feel playing with the younger lads?
It's really exciting. They're a really talented bunch. It's sometimes difficult when you lose so many players and bring in youngsters all at once, which we kind of have. It takes, the process is a bit longer. You're always learning on your feet in international cricket. In most other nations, the big nations, you perform at first class and list A level, and that prepares you for playing international cricket. But in the Irish setup at the minute, you're learning on your feet, you're learning at international level, and that's what the hard bit. You've got the likes of Harry Tector, Josh Little, Mark Adair, they're performing in their first 10 games. They're playing against Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, really big teams in the world, and you've got to either sink or swim, and it's good luck and over to you. So I think over time you'll see the positive effect of that, but it is a process. It is sort of phase, a team phase where it could take a little bit longer, but I think when it comes down to a World Cup, it's such a big period that if you perform on the day, that's the plan, and you can start building after that as well.
Just given the fact that you've had so much exposure to big tournaments and the fact that you're now one of the more mature players on the team, you must have a lot of knowledge to impart in those younger players. But also, do you know in yourself that like your role has changed, that what you do now has evolved because you're that person that has all that experience?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, you've got a little bit more responsibility. It's how you decide to use that. You still want to play with attacking instinct and sort of that flamboyance, which is what T20 cricket is all about, expressing yourself and not getting too bogged down with bat or ball. But yeah, that responsibility brings a few different things into question. I've been so lucky to play in so many World Cups in the past. It's been a great experience and something I'm still learning from. You're always learning. It doesn't matter what age you are, how many games you've played. You do have games that tend to crop up and be the same games that happened years ago. So you can dwell on those experiences and try and help you going into the future. But I think every day is pretty different at the minute, especially with how things are going. Just
from listening to you, it really does sound like you're enjoying what you're doing right now. And one of the things that has been so fruitful for you over the last while is your opening partnership with Kevin O'Brien. How much do you enjoy going out batting with him?
Yeah, it's good. I think I was really lucky to bat with William Porterfield before and then move straight into Kevin O'Brien. We know each other's games so well, it's really important, running between the wickets, knowing each other's games, knowing the opposition. How are you going to put on a partnership? I think it's been really good. We tend to dovetail quite well. If I'm not hitting them too well, Kev at the other end is going to give it a good bash. So and vice versa. I think it's really important. I think setting the tone in cricket, whether it's with the bat or the ball, is probably one of the main things that sets the tone for the rest of the day and the rest of the players. So it's been a good sort of 2 years, and hopefully we can continue that on. It's really important that we get off the good starts going forward.
And Andy Balbirnie's toe, how is it? How is he?
It's fine. It's fine.
The biggest talking point over the last few days has been Andy Balbirnie's toe.
No, he's absolutely fine. I think there was probably a little bit of a worry there for a day, but then as soon as the results came back and there was no break, and I think everyone was free to sort of take the mickey out of him for having a sore toe. All's good there, and he's really looking forward to it. He got time out in the middle yesterday, which was crucial. I think he's always a big player for us, so hopefully he can turn it on come next week as well.
Brilliant. And just finally, look, you do have 3 big games coming up. Do you target certain games or do you just go for all of them?
I think it's risky if you start targeting games. I think that's when things can go wrong. So we'll put all our eggs at the minute into the Holland game because it's next up, but with keeping an eye on Sri Lanka after and Namibia, I think we've got to do our homework before that because it's only 1 day in between each game. So all's equally as important. I wouldn't put too much on the Holland game and the Holland game only, because whether we win or lose that, we're still in the competition. We've got 2 games left. And I really do think anyone can beat anyone, and particularly in this group, I would be surprised if someone came out of it with 3 wins from 3. I think that's how tight it is.
Right. Well, I'm just picturing all of you guys in your bubble life, going golfing, going swimming, having a great time. Like, is that the way things are working out over there for you?
I would love to say it was, but I promise you it's not. I'm sure everyone's read about how tough it is in bubble life, but I'm not sure many people want to hear that from sportsmen because we're so lucky to do what we do. So it's a bit of both, but it would be quite nice if we were allowed to walk somewhere in the hotel. That would be awesome, apart from the room.
Yeah, you just go and have your splash in the pool, Paul. Come here, thanks so much for joining me, and best of luck. I won't get to talk to you before the games get going, but just best of luck from everybody at home, and everyone will be watching you and wishing you well.
Thanks very much. Appreciate the support.